what's an NFT? An NFT is essentially a file. It is literally like an MP3 file. Think of it like that, right? Or a document. It could be a document. It could be a web page. It could be a file. It could be an audio. It literally is like a token that represents a single instance of that token. It's a one of a kind. There's no two are exactly the same.
Hey, I'm Graham Farmer, founder of the dance music magazine Data Transmission and Twitch partner, streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. On this channel, we share the full interviews from my Twitch streams. But before we jump into this interview, if you can help this video get more reach by giving it a like and a comment, it'd be most appreciated. And don't forget to consider subscribing so you always get notified when we drop new interviews. Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I was going to say welcome to Twitch, but you were on here first, so it's more like you welcoming me to Twitch.
I'm not on it as often as I was. I think through lockdown, I've been on Twitch for a few years. I think I had my account for a little while, and then I started streaming regularly during the lockdowns. But I think I'd maybe popped on a few times before that down the years. But yeah, I think like lockdown was like my main intro to Twitch, doing it regularly. I was streaming 3 nights a week. I don't stream as regularly now. I pop on every now and then. Sometimes have a mix or chat about So Rare or music, whatever takes my fancy.
Nice. We see some of your regulars in the chat. Jareth13, missing you on Twitch, my guy.
Big up, Jareth. Good to see you, sir.
So you were doing it in lockdown. I think loads did it. Obviously, loads of DJs went on there back onto streaming, didn't they? How are you finding it? How was the Twitch in lockdown?
It was good. I think that it was for me. Like I just felt like if I didn't get on and start doing it, then everyone else was going to figure it out. And I knew I had like a bit of knowledge around how to set up live streams and like get the sort of quality audio. I think that was the main problem that a lot of DJs had, was not like figuring out how to get that clean feed out of their decks into their live streams. And I knew how to do that. Even, could do it from my phone if needed to. So I just thought if I didn't do it, I'd be wasting an opportunity, given the knowledge I had. So just jumped straight in, double footed, and picked up quite a nice head of steam early days. I think a lot of people were trying to figure out what to do with themselves. And I think the Twitch streams turned out to be a good place to kind of hang out with a lot of people from around the world who were looking for something to do. So we were doing things like production clashes, sound clashes, quizzes around like niche genres of music. And that brought in a pretty wide and broad audience. Obviously got the Twitch partnership locked in, and was fortunate enough to like land on the front page a few times and got co-hosted by Beatport, and went from strength to strength, really.
That's cool. We're going to be chatting NFTs today. I'm well excited about this, mate.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm still trying to figure a lot of it out myself as well, but I think that's the beauty of the space, is it's kind of new. We're all trying to learn this together. So to anyone that's joining us that doesn't have a clue about what they are or why they might be of interest to people like us working in the music industry, hopefully we might all kind of like figure a few bits out together.
Let's do this. So yeah, if you're into this space, let us know in the chat. Drop in and just tap in and say hello and give us a wave. If you've bought an NFT, let us know it. I'd like to know in the chat who has, and if you're watching it, you have. Let us know. Get involved. Grady Mar says he has almost no knowledge of NFTs. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I've been kind of watching it a bit, and there's been some crazy stuff. For like the whole JPEG thing was crazy, millions of pounds spending on JPEG, and I was like, how is that going to work from a music point of view? And then I think when I spoke to you at the AVA conference, I'd literally just been emailed someone who was trying to charge like £2,000 for what was a mix and a piece of artwork, and my literal response to that person was, "Who are you? Like, where have you come from? Like, where is, like, I Googled, kind of went onto their socials and looked at their audience, and like they had no audience, and I was like, who are you selling this to? Am I missing something where, like, because you're on these newer platforms, you're potentially opening yourself up?"
Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything. I think there are people that see the sort of headlines attached to what an NFT is, or what maybe the price some of them are selling for, and just immediately thinks, oh, this is an opportunity for me to like massively overprice something. And that's not really what it is. But you do see that quite a lot, where someone will be like, "Hey, here's a track. It's like $8,000," and you think,
Yeah.
"Why is that $8,000? Your last like album was like a tenner on Bandcamp." But
Yeah,
I think there's different levels to it, and if you do have a really big following or like a community of people who really want to collect stuff that you're doing, then there is an opportunity to potentially, earn a little bit more from an NFT drop if the utility is there or the reason to collect it is there. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. They just think, oh, NFT equals more money, but that's not really the case. If you can't, if you couldn't sell a record for $8,000, you're not going to be able to sell an NFT for $8,000.
Okay, so I wasn't missing it, because I thought, like, I was wondering, like, just because you're going on these new platforms like OpenSea or somewhere like that maybe you're just, by selling it at this price, you're giving yourself a new opportunity, because there's new people that might not have heard of you, and you're just creating a new audience by using these platforms. But no, it's just people trying to be greedy. And yeah, okay,
absolutely, yeah, this is it. I think that it does. There is a bit of that. Don't get me wrong. Like if you haven't ever minted an NFT before, then putting yourself on OpenSea does open you up to a slightly new audience. But let's be honest, like the majority of people that land on your collection are probably already following your music or following you as an influencer or whatever it is, like whatever your medium is. They're more likely to land on there. It's very, very rare that someone will land on your page by chance, unless you've got something that looks really interesting. So if your NFT looks like a really insanely beautiful piece of art, then you might get people that look at it and think, wow, what is that? And they want to buy it because they like the look of it, not because of what it is musically or who it's attached to.
Yeah, I wonder whether it was like a TikTok thing where they're just getting on there early and leveraging new platforms and being wise. But cool, okay. For those that don't know in the chat, can we just kind of go through the basics and just like give everyone the basic? Because I know there's loads in the chat that don't know anything. So can we just go through the basics? NFT, blockchain, crypto, how's it all work? How's it all link?
Okay, so to absolutely basic level, I'd say that the blockchain's a little bit like a new technology, a bit similar to how the internet works on different protocols. So if you think of the internet was the birth of ways to communicate via electronic. So we have different protocols, like websites are built on a HTTP protocol, which you'll see if you put in the URL of a website. And then on the email, we have what's called the SMTP protocol, which is where you can send messages from one address to another. The blockchain, if you think of it as a little bit like that, it's almost like a massive protocol for the public swapping and sharing of assets across like different digital languages. So that can be tokens, it could be contracts, it could be you can build apps on top of it, lots of things. It's almost like another layer of the internet. Think of it, we've got email, we've got websites, we've now got Web3, which can contain lots of different things. So that's kind of what the blockchain is. A crypto token is obviously, like a lot of people used to think of it as a currency that, it's a digital way of like paying for stuff. And some tokens are built like that, but some tokens are kind of built as almost like the legal tender that operates on that protocol. So if you've heard of a big one like Ethereum is essentially a token that supports a network that allows people to build apps, build smart contracts, build decentralized finance apps, so you can do some banking on it. You could build a game on top of it. You can build loads of things on Ethereum, but every action that you need to do to sort of like interact with Ethereum blockchain costs you a little bit of money and fees for like using the access in the network. Problem with Ethereum is as it's scaled, it's become more and more expensive because more and more people are using it. The price of the token goes up and up and up because people need it to use the chain. And that's what causes like the cost of Ethereum to go up over time.
Gotcha.
As time's gone on, more chains become available that make doing very similar tasks to what you'd like to do on Ethereum a lot cheaper and a lot like more, people talk about the environment. A lot of more of these other chains do exactly what Ethereum does, but don't have the impact on the environment or the cost on the user's wallet. So that's a little bit about what tokens are and maybe what they might be used for. What's an NFT? An NFT is essentially a file. It is literally like an MP3 file. Think of it like that, right? or a document. It could be a document, it could be a web page, it could be a file, it could be an audio. It literally is like a token that represents a single instance of that token. It's a one of a kind. There's no two are exactly the same. Like if I have one Bitcoin here in one wallet and another Bitcoin here, they're essentially the same. They're worth the same thing. One can be traded for the other. It makes no difference. In an NFT, the two files are slightly different. Maybe have different properties. One might be the number one of only 100 of these tokens. Well, this one might be the number two. So, like straight away, there's little things like that. But what is inside the NFT is solely up to the person who creates it. It could be a smart contract. It could be, like it could almost, you can set rules around it. And this is where like the developer side of things comes in. From a creative perspective, like someone like myself coming into a space and looking at like, well, I'm a musician, I'm a record label owner, I run events. Like, what can I use an NFT for? You could sell tickets as an NFT, and you think, well, why would you do that? People sell tickets now. They get a ticket stub. They go to a Glastonbury festival. Great. Their ticket is like on a lanyard they have to look after. You could create it as an NFT, put it in a digital wallet that you can flash like a scanner code on it. But then you've got like this digital asset after that proves that you went there, that's always going to be recorded on chain as like, this ticket was used on this date by this person in the history of like, that's, it's recorded like digital in the blockchain for anyone to search and find and prove that they went. But it also allows you to transfer that to someone else. So you could potentially sell your used ticket for Glastonbury to someone who just collects tickets, which people do.
Yeah, they do.
Another thing you can think of it is like, another problem we have with festival tickets and gig tickets is people buying tickets to resell them at like double the price. Yep. And when that happens, they pocket all of the profit. The artist whose gig it is doesn't see any of that extra profit come back. But also there's that worry that you might have bought a ticket that's not legit. You can't verify that that's a legit ticket that you've just bought on the internet. If you're buying an NFT ticket, you can see this ticket belongs to this collection, which is the official collection. It's got a little tick mark next to it. So I know I'm buying an official ticket. When you send the money for that, it's permissionless. It goes via like a third party. So OpenSea or something like that takes the money, gives you back the NFT, gives the person selling it the money. But inside the contract for that NFT, as a ticket seller, you might say, we want 50% of anyone's like profits they make selling this ticket on. So then some like festival might actually be able to get some of the value from the resale of that ticket. And if you wanted to be funny about it, you could take 100% of any resale. So it would not allow anyone to profit from reselling a ticket or like inflating the price for people. So that is like a really easy use case, which makes complete sense, right? That why wouldn't we
loads
have
of sense.
NFTs?
Yeah, loads of sense. Why wouldn't you do that?
I think that's going to happen really soon. You'll see that without even realizing your ticket is an NFT. It will be. There'll be like an app for the festival. Be like, buy your ticket here. On the background, you've paid your like whatever credit card fees, and not even seeing that it's converted that into crypto. It's minted an NFT. The NFT is sent to your wallet, which is just the app on the phone. And then when you get to the festival, it's scanned and all of the back end is done on the blockchain and it's all an NFT. But the experience for someone who buys a ticket and uses it to get into festivals is no different from buying a ticket now, except it's a lot more secure. We can track where the money's going. If people are trying to resell it, it stops, it cuts out a lot of the dangers of buying a fake ticket. There's so many benefits of doing it that way that, people will be using this tech without knowing it in the near future.
So it cut out that kind of people buying hundreds of tickets to sell them all at,
it wouldn't stop it.
Scalps.
Yeah, I mean, you can stop a single wallet address from buying more than one if you want. But even if you wanted to allow people to buy 100 tickets, you could just write into the smart contract that says, any sale of this ticket before this date, 100% of the like selling value will come back to the festival. So like people won't be able to profit from reselling. So like if you can't profit from it, why would you buy 10 tickets to like sell them again? You wouldn't. Yeah, so it will cut it out at the root because it will stop it becoming profitable for people.
That's incredible.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I hear what you're saying about the smooth, like as soon as it becomes that smooth transaction that you haven't got to download extra software or do extra things, that as soon as that becomes that becomes norm, it'll just like you say, it'll just become part of life and
I think some of the most interesting like use cases I've seen for NFTs already, like outside of music, I play a game, a football game called So Rare, which is like a fantasy football game, very similar to playing Fantasy Premier League if you play that, except you can only use players in your teams who use NFT you own. So, you know, each player has a very limited
No way.
supply. So you have to have that player to use them. So like obviously the better players go up in value because people are like, I'll pay more to have that player because that player scores more points. And in scoring more points, you win more prizes. You can win Ethereum, you can win more NFTs and use them to like find your way up the leaderboards. And all of that is done on the blockchain. But anyone that wants to play that game can buy these NFTs with a credit card, and it does all of the like messing about with crypto in the background. So it's allowed it to onboard a lot of users who don't actually know anything about crypto, but the game can only exist the way it does with like a scarce supply of cards. And you have to be able to prove that the supply is scarce for it to work. And you can't really prove that without attaching it to NFTs that proves verifiably on the blockchain how many of each of these players are in existence, because that obviously helps work out what their value is in the market as well.
That's so cool. And secondly, I want to play that game. It sounds cool.
Oh, I'll get you signed up.
As we're on the front page, we normally have loads of gamers watching from the front page. Gamers from the front page, if anyone is playing that game, drop a So Rare in the chat. Let's see who else is on there. Let's see which So Rare crew we've got. Mate, this is so interesting already. It's so cool.
Yeah, there's so many potential applications for a lot of this. I think a lot of people, you know, like they hear the headlines, which are always like the price it's gone for and a picture of it. It's like, well, that's a picture. Like, but what they're missing is like, why would someone pay that for that? And most of the time, I say most, a lot. Listen, 99.9% of NFTs are absolute rubbish. Like there is a lot of rubbish out there, but for that 99.9%, the 0.1% out there that are doing things really interesting are really proving the use cases and and the reason why people are paying the money that they are is because owning this token gets me access to this, or will earn me that, or will help me get this, or allow me to buy that, and that's the uses that I think where you'll see a little bit more in music. You know, it'll be the fan clubs of the future will run on blockchain, will be NFT collections, will be tokenized communities, will be, you know, like DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, which is like another thing we can get into a bit later. But
I've seen that loads on LinkedIn. I'm like, what? I was like, I just kept popping up on LinkedIn because I'm like, what is that? Because I saw the Beatport Pixel Heads stuff, and I saw there's another guy that's gone. They're called Pixel Links. They've done something with Dead Mouse, and my friend's done something with Dead Mouse, and those guys. And I've kind of been watching their posts on LinkedIn. And I keep seeing, and I was like, what is that? So I'm going to go and Google it. But we'll definitely talk about that in a bit for sure. That's mad.
But yeah, all of this stuff is stuff that I feel like you could apply it to music, you know. If you're seeing like the way the So Rare game worked and stuff like that, and you think, well, you know, if you created different sort of scarcity levels of like tiered membership, you know how on Twitch you get different tiers of subs, and like, oh, this tier gets you these emotes, and this tier gets you that, and this tier gets you that, and also like you'll be put into a draw where you can win some merch. It's like, if you think of those different tiered subscription, you can easily do that now with a crypto token. You can create your own token, allow people to, or create your own NFT collection and be like, you know, like a common tier, a rare tier, and a like ultra rare tier. And like, depending on what NFT you hold in your wallet, gets you access to this Discord channel, this event, this layer of merch. But also something that a lot of people miss with this is at the moment, we will pay like £5 to subscribe to someone on Twitch, right? Because we like their content and we want to support them. But at the end of that month, that £5 just left our wallet. We won't see it again. We just feel good for helping the streamer that we enjoy watching, right? If you sold that £5 as a £5 NFT, and I hold that, and I get all the perks of subscribing to you with holding that NFT. But then at the end of the month, I think, I don't feel like I need to, like, I'm not going to watch that next month. I might sell it to someone and give someone access to that channel or those perks and get a little bit of my money back. And it allows them to do that. But in them selling that, you as the creator have sold that initial mint for £5, but you might put in the contract for that NFT that you want 10% of any future sale. So if they sell that for £4 next month, you're going to get another 40p, and then you're going to get like another if they sell it again and again. So it just like it creates value for the creator that we haven't really seen before, but it also allows people that invest in like what you're doing the opportunity to sort of like sell back their membership or their whatever they're investing in you. Essentially, it's like selling your shares in the company, and it allows you to do that with pretty much anything you sell, you know. And I think that's really quite cool.
That's cool. And before, thank you, OGs, for continuing subscribing to my channel, you legends. I really appreciate it, always. What I was going to say, what were you saying about? You were saying before that 1% of the NFTs have been good, and a lot of them have been rubbish. But it's kind of like I always think like websites when I was building websites in the 90s, and loads of them were shit, and there was loads of like out there ideas that just were like we thought were just trying the field, and it seems to be the same sort of landscape now where it's like people are just trying stuff, and maybe in 4 or 5 years time we'll kind of, like you say, get this technology and it will be kind of part of everyday life, like e-commerce was in by the time you got to the middle of the 2000s. You know, it seems like the similar sort of repetition.
Yeah, I think that's it. At the moment, it looks a little bit daunting and it can be a bit confusing, like how to buy this, move it here, open this wallet, use this, interact with this, allow this. And it's like, that is daunting and it is confusing, but that's, you know, we're still quite early stages here. And it's more about, if you look at like the potential for it, it makes total sense that we're going to be using this technology more and more. So the earlier you get your head around it and like start interacting and sort of playing with it, you're just going to be a step ahead of the rest of the game. Because I just feel like we're going to be using a lot of this you know, like the websites that we use today, the games that we play today, the banks that we use, they're all going to be using this technology in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. So if you can get ahead of them, then you'll probably like, you know, you'll benefit from it in the long term.
I guess things like even like mortgages will become NFTs because then you will have the life of the house and who's lived there and the previous and the kind of like, it just makes it more solid.
There's no reason why not. Yeah, like the what do you call that? The deeds of the house.
Yeah.
Right? If you like, rather than having that on paper stored somewhere in a big old office somewhere, it would just be on the blockchain. You'd be able to like look through the transactions of this house. Is like, oh, this house has been that, and it's there. And then if someone, you know, buys the house, that NFT of the house is transferred to their wallet to prove ownership of it. And yeah, it won't look like a Bored Ape or anything like that, but it will be a file that lives in your wallet that is verifiably yours.
That's mental.
Yeah, it's all the thing is like, I think a lot of the sort of the bad press that like, I guess crypto's had down the years is things like, oh, you know, money laundering, people hiding money. But anyone who uses the blockchain, any developers, anyone who knows what they're looking at can see, you know, if a massive hack happens on the blockchain, they can see exactly who did it, the wallet address.
Nice.
It's easy to find out, you know, maybe the wallet address of who did it. I think that's the main thing at the moment is we can kind of hide behind wallet addresses a little bit. Some people choose to allow them to be public, but I think that's the main thing at the moment. If like we all had to attach like a government ID to our Ethereum address, then a lot of these problems will go. And I'm sure like it's only a matter of time before governments that are trying to embrace this will be like, yeah, we'll embrace it, but we do need to know like who these wallets belong to for the, you know, like tax reasons and money laundering and all that. I think that's probably what will happen.
Yeah, someone says money laundering happens with money. Yeah, it's the same whether it's the same digital, whether it's the same as it's paper, or whether it's
it's basically like digital cash, isn't it? It allows for of the perks of using cash because it's a bit more like it's permissionless. You don't necessarily need an identification to transact with a lot of these apps. You know, the only part where you might need it is when you're buying from like a centralized exchange, like a Binance or Coinbase or something like that, because they want to see who's spending, who's buying, where's the money coming from, what bank account is it attached to. But then once you send your money off of those exchanges to like decentralized wallets like MetaMask or Kepler or Phantom or, you know, any of these wallets that you use, they're off the chain. And, you know, there's no way of like verifying exactly who the person that is attached to that wallet address is.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I saw someone in the chat ask an interesting question actually about album EP NFT crowdfunding. I think that's quite an interesting one, because I think you've seen a lot of people kind of use an NFT sale as like a fundraiser that allows, people to invest in a project or a product that they're trying to do. And I think that that's the nice thing. It's very, you could, like if you see how a lot of these sort of like GoFundMe type things work, you could easily do that with an NFT, where you might say, right, let's say you wanted to shoot a music video, or you wanted to record an EP or something, and you had a rough idea in your head of how much that's going to cost. You could split that cost up maybe 1,000 times and be like, right, if I can sell 1,000 NFTs at this cost, then I'm going to get this much back, and that will pay for the music video. And then you could say, there might be perks, people that buy it, like you get to come along and maybe not with 1,000, but maybe if you sold like 50 or 100 of them, and that was enough, you could say, on the day, anyone holding the NFT can sort of claim access to come and watch the shoot, can come down to the shoot and watch the shoot if you want. Or, or maybe you put their name on the credits at the end of the music video, like this was funded by blah, 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 blah. There's ways and means of doing lots of things. I think with if you think of using an NFT launch as a fundraiser, you can kind of cook what the value is of holding that. Like, it's like anything. Like, why would I buy this? Why would I buy that? And with an NFT, if you say, you can use this NFT to claim access to this, or anyone who holds this is going to get, this piece of merch that we're buying and we're making, and there's only 50. So you need an NFT to get that as well. And it's down to the creators really to be as creative as they want to be, because I think that it's very easy to fire up an NFT now. Like I could bang a JPEG on the blockchain and try and put a $2,000 valuation on it. But if it's just a picture, then people are going to be a lot less likely to invest in it, because it is an investment at the end of the day. Part of them might be like, I want to collect it because I want to support, but there will be a part of the person potentially buying an NFT is thinking, what is the value of holding that for me? Is the value hoping that someone will just pay more for it somewhere down the line, or is there another value locked into it? Like, do I get access to a studio session? Do I get guest list to their next gig? Can I meet them in person? Can we go for a beer? Can I have a Zoom call with them twice a month to talk about my upcoming project? I want them to A&R it for me. There's so much that you can do depending on who you are as an artist or a person or creative, what value you have, and cooking that into the sale of the NFT. And I think if you think of any NFT like that and figure out the ways to execute it, I think that's the main problem. Is a lot of the sort of platforms you can create an NFT don't maybe educate people on the benefits that they can cook into it. So it's up to you to kind of figure that out. And I guess for me, I have ideas like this all the time, but the thing that holds me back maybe from just executing them is I need someone to write the code for that. That isn't just something that I can just bang into OpenSea and launch and go, oh, hey, here's a part of the NFT sale that you can burn to come have lunch with me when you want to. You can claim that or something. And I think that there are things like that you might need a developer. So it's getting access to people and those minds and meeting people that can help you build things like that is where maybe the sticking point is.
So can you have them where, like you said, that burning out, that's an interesting term. So would you have ones that you could use once, or because I kind of think if you're making an NFT, you've got it for them forever. Is there a kind of if you're saying a one-to-one thing, maybe you've got to have the NFT that it's got a lifetime of one use or two use, or.
So if you look at some NFT projects out there recently, some of the sort of more well-known ones, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that, they when they first came out, they were just JPEGs. People bought them. Oh, actually, I think they got given away when they first came out. I don't think people did spend a great deal of money on them. But then over time, the value of them went up due to the demand to sort of have them for sort of internet clout reasons of profile pictures and stuff like that, right? But as the treasury grew from people reselling them and buying them, and the people that built them sat on quite a war chest, if you like, then they allowed to go in and build something new. So they built what was called the mutant ape serum, and they airdropped this serum to everyone who had an NFT. And what this serum was, it just looked like a picture of a kind of cartoon flask of from a science lab of some green nuclear gel or something like that. I don't know. But what you could do with that was you could activate your original Bored Ape with that and then pay a little fee, and it would mint you a new one that was a version of your NFT that looks like it's landed in like a nuclear waste pit or something, and it created a mutant version of it.
Sick.
And on the chain, once someone does that, it can only do it once. So you got your serum and you've got your ape, and you put them together and you get a new mutant ape. So in doing that, it created this kind of burn function as on a part of the contract that was in the initial kind of ape contract. So if you wanted to buy if I wanted to buy a Bored Ape now, I can look at it and see if the mutant version of it has been activated. Because then if it has been activated, there's already a mutant version of it on the blockchain. I can buy that separately. But if it doesn't, then there's that added value that, oh, there's a Bored Ape, which is worth this much, but it's also not been activated as a mutant. So that cooks another layer of like value in there. Because if someone wanted the mutant version of that specific ape, they could buy a serum, buy that, make a mutant, and then they've actually. So it's like that's such a complicated way of explaining it, but to try and explain to you, there are sort of action. You can do sort of actionable parts of the contract that, you know, you might burn a piece of it to get a T-shirt, or, you know, like use this claim function to come to one of my gigs, and like once it's used, it can't be used again. So
right, gotcha. That makes more sense. That makes more sense, because I kind of thought it's like once you've made it, it's there forever. But if that's a function, that sounds quite cool, because then you could have a load of them. Like if I've had say 350 people that have been through my one-to-one, if I'd have given them each when I sold them that package as an NFT, then they could have had 6 burns or 5, you know, or only one time with me. But then I would have all of them that have had time with me that I could then drop something else to them. Like when I released my course down the line, I could have dropped them all that straight away and gone,
exactly,
you've got first action.
You can see who holds that. Yeah, you can see the wallet address of who holds your NFT. So like, say you had 300 people that like bought your one-to-one, and then bang, you've got all their wallet addresses. They've got the NFT in their wallet. And then 2 years down the line, you're like, I want to reward anyone who bought that initial first drop. Like, thank you for that. Here's access to, you can now use that token to access this online course. And, you know, then suddenly they've got extra value for holding on to it and not trying to sell it, or, you know, something like that. And
I guess in that original one-to-one, if you knew you were going to do a course down the line, like you would then put the resale value for anyone that resold it as well.
Exactly.
Wow, you've got. Yeah. Can you modify the contracts after you've minted, or do you have to kind of work all the contract out before you mint?
That's a good question. I think that they are editable. A lot of the sort of online places where you can mint easily without any sort of like code knowledge, I think you'll be a little bit limited to what you can do on those. But you can amend like the metadata, I believe, even on some of the more basic ones. But if you are a coder and you know how to, or if you're working with a developer who does, they'll be able to make sure that you can update the code or write that in. Because I'd imagine there's no way in hell when those Bored Apes were made that they knew a few years down the line they were going to do this mutant thing with it. So yeah, I'm sure that was amended at some stage down the line. There's one thing I just seen in the chat, sorry, and I think it's quite an important. Tell us how to filter out the scams from the real deals. So this is important. The easy way of doing that is all NFT collections have what's called a contract address. This is the sort of high end level of it, right? If you really want to be absolutely sure, you can click on any NFT and look at its contract address. And then you can put that into something called Etherscan and see all of the tokens that belong in that collection. So if your contract address does not match that of the legit ones, then it's not a legit one. In a more simplified way, on the bigger collections, the more expensive ones, the ones that everyone reads about all the time, just when you look at it on something like OpenSea, you can see that the collection belongs to and is minted by the original kind of creator. And it will be you'll see all of the other versions of this NFT next to it in the collection. And 9 times out of 10, it will have like a verified check mark on it, a bit like you see on Twitter or on Twitch. And that, you know, will tell you that if you're clicking an NFT that shows up on that page, it's a legit one. If it's not on that page, it could be a fake. And, you know, if you're spending hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of pounds or dollars on an NFT, just be careful that you check that contract address, or like navigate to the official page on the OpenSea and make sure you're buying from there. Make sure that you're clicking one that's on the verified page. And yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to go about it.
Like I said at the start, I've been fully kind of watching this space and kind of watching the madness a little bit and watching the craziness, and also but kind of working out how we would get involved from a DT point of view, from a label point of view, and also for our artists as part of my course, how I can then advise them to be kind of jumping into the space. So
Yeah, I think it's worth exploring. I think most people are working in creative, whether it's music, art, illustration. There's definitely something there. But yeah, I mean, if you've got a community around whatever it is that you do, community can be kind of activated by, dropping them these NFTs or some tokens and making some sort of like token gated content. So you can sort of reward the people who are like most engaged with what you do that way.
So there's the NFT and then there's the token. So tokens are different to NFTs. Is that my?
Yeah, like I could create like a Plastician coin. I could create like 20,000 of them or like 800 million of them, however many you want. And then I could like distribute them to people for free if I wanted to.
Yep.
So they might not have any monetary value, but then, I could like token gate access to a live stream or like early access to tickets for a tour, or maybe like make a t-shirt or a piece of merch that lives on a part of the website that hides behind a little token gate.
That's sick.
So then, people who are most engaged with what I do can like use those tokens to get early access to things as like a thank you, or, just making sure that they get early access to something.
That's really cool. Someone says, Bulb for Source, welcome to our stream. Thanks for your comment. Aren't most NFTs just links to the picture you are buying rather than having a picture being on the actual blockchain? And if that is the case, how much of the current NFT market is just hype?
I think, good question. And I think, like I said before, I think like a large percentage of the market is just hype. This is news. Yeah. A lot of people are jumping on it to just try and make a quick buck. So a lot of these projects will go to zero, like without doubt. It's like think how many tracks are uploaded to Spotify every day, and how many of them don't even get a single listen. It's the same with NFTs. Like there's a lot of NFTs out there. Anyone can make an NFT project. And a lot of them are just pictures, like not all of it is good. It's the same with anything. That doesn't make it all bad though. So I'd say that, some of the NFTs will live on chain, some of them won't. But if they have a utility, that's different. If you're buying an NFT that has some kind of utility or use, it's not even really about the picture that is on it. It's about having that file in your wallet and being able to activate that at some point for whatever reason it is that you might. And, I've given the example of games that I play with my NFTs that, you can right click and save the pictures of those footballers if you want, but you can't enter the tournaments, and you can't win the prizes, and you can't access, the rewards and the perks of that. And it's the same with, so I recently I've got a Discord channel, which I'm kind of testing. It's not a big thing. It was kind of something we built around my Twitch community, and I wanted to learn how to token gate that. Minted an NFT on Rarible. It's pretty easy to do. Bit expensive because it's on the Ethereum network. We'll get into that later. But
okay.
I sent it to a bunch of people when like gas fees were quite low. It was only costing me maybe £6 or £7 to send one. And then I used a free service called Collabland, which allows you to kind of token gate channels on your Discord, a bit like you see if you're a Twitch subscriber. So a lot of people's Discord channels, like subscribers get access to like the secret channels and stuff like that. And you can do that with an NFT as well. So, you could easily like right click and save a picture of my NFT. But if you tried to like use that right click and save picture to get into the private Discord channel, it wouldn't work. You need the file, you need it in your wallet. It needs to be verifiable on the blockchain. So yeah, I guess these are the things, that is why we're like an NFT is more than just a picture on top of it,
That's cool. Yeah, we have the same. We have in our Discord, we have a subscriber zone, and that would work there. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk like when you say about the gas prices, tell me about that. So how are the environmental factors? Why does it cost so much gas to make these things? Can you?
Okay, first things first. Like, I think the term gas is like misleading because it's not actually gas. It's just called gas. Gas is like the name of a fee that you pay on the Ethereum chain for interacting with the network. So you're not actually like getting a lighter out and like putting
it's like what the hell?
It's not like so you're not burning actual gas. So like I guess that's probably where some of the So you the gas fee is like the transaction fee you'll pay for like using the the technology. And Ethereum is obviously like, it's talked up as like quite bad for the environment because it's built on what is called proof of work, which is like is like the basis of like the original blockchain projects like Bitcoin, is that it is a network of computers all around the world that are interlinked and on all the time and kind of like digitally manage what is just like a massive public ledger. So if you think of the blockchain as a massive Excel spreadsheet that says, oh, this wallet has this much Bitcoin, this wallet has that much Bitcoin, this, and it just lists every wallet in the world and every amount of Bitcoin. And that should always add up to 21 million or whatever. 21 million is the most Bitcoin that will ever exist, right? There will never be more than 21 million. At the moment, I think something like 90% of it is mined. But the way Bitcoin worked was all these computers see this Excel spreadsheet and verify, oh, this wallet has sent this much to that. So now this wallet has this much and that one has that much. And these computers all around the world compete with each other to see the transaction, verify it, and in return get a little bit of a reward for like doing that in Bitcoin. And that's how Bitcoin is mined. That's a computer doing like a math problem to earn a bit of Bitcoin, fighting against every other computer on the network to be first to that transaction. And gotcha. In doing that, it creates problems for the environment because people build these supercomputers that are just massive GPU cabinets that just sit there all day trying to get to these Bitcoin transactions and make Bitcoin for them, right? That's what a Bitcoin miner is. And they burn a lot of energy. And, you know, they're the reason that graphics cards cost so much money is because you can build a Bitcoin miner, like just literally like stacking a bunch of graphics cards on top of each other. So that was like the first sort of case for the blockchain. Ethereum came along and was like, we can do better than that. It will be cheaper. It'll work all the time, but you'll also be able to build on top of it. You'll be able to make your own coins, blah, blah, blah. So they done that. And obviously initially it did prove quite a lot of the problems. But then as time goes on, Ethereum goes up in price. Those transaction fees go up in price gradually with it. And similarly, Ethereum works on this old school proof of work, big ledger, lots of computers trying to do the transactions. So that is where the environmental argument comes in. But to give some scope, the Ethereum network uses about 0.5% of the energy that the PlayStation online network uses on a daily basis. So
okay, fuck's sake.
As much as we're all moaning about it and NFTs are this and that, it's actually like 200 times less bad as like playing PlayStation online. So but
Epic.
Again, like this is almost like, if you think of it like we've got Teslas and we've got electric cars now, and the Ethereum network, you know, like if the Ethereum network is like an old like Mercedes from the 70s, which looks really nice, but costs a shitload of money in like petrol to run it.
Mm-hmm.
We now have electric cars. We have blockchains that can do all the stuff that Ethereum does on what's called proof of stake. And that's almost like a cloud-based alternative to the way that these things work. And they're worked by people buying token, holding the token, staking a token, and being rewarded for like maintaining the polarity of the network by holding this token, staking it, and then getting rewards as like staking rewards based on transactions moving. I mean, I'll hold my hands up and say I don't fully understand the kind of mechanics of proof of stake versus proof of work, but I do know that it is a lot less, we're talking like 500 times less damaging in terms of energy consumption than the old proof of work way of validating a blockchain. And because of that, you can mint NFTs on other chains for next to no money, and you can collect them and buy them and pay very little fees in sort of sending and transacting with these other chains now, because it's kind of, we're starting to fix the problems that Ethereum kind of like proved that we could do all this, but it's like we can do it. It's the same with any technology, right? Here's the tech. How do we do it better? How do we do it smarter? How do we do it more efficiently? You think how big our mobile phones were in the like early 2000s. It's mad. And like now, you know, your phone can do so much more, but last like twice the, you know, if you don't use it for 2 days, it will stay on. And it's the same with NFTs and blockchain. Is like a lot of these problems that we're reading about and hearing about now are only going to be problems for the next year or so. And then there will be something else people are moaning about. Obviously, you're always going to have to counter to any argument. And I see a lot of the arguments from both sides as well, especially in the music sense. But for me, a lot of the arguments against NFTs being, especially for like the environmental side, are very short to mid-term problems and not long-term, because the tech is moving at such a rate that a lot of these problems we see now are going to be solved in the next few years.
So, as DJs, producers, musicians, artists, where do we start now? Like, obviously, you're saying that Ethereum is kind of coming to a point where we're moving on to the next thing. Where should people should jump in and start their kind of NFT blockchain life?
Where I've been sort of like a good sort of place to test is the Polygon network, which is sort of, it's what they call a layer 2, and the way that works is it kind of, it uses a lot of the same sort of code language as Ethereum, but it allows you to transact a lot more cheaply and a lot more efficiently. So it's integrated into OpenSea. So if you look at OpenSea for NFTs, which is kind of like the almost like the eBay for NFTs, it's one of the biggest marketplaces for sort of buying and selling them. But you can also mint on there. Minting is like creating an NFT. If you hear me use that term, it's like to make an NFT is to mint one, right? And you can go on OpenSea, switch over to the Polygon network, and you can do that inside like your MetaMask wallet, which is a crypto wallet. So I'd say, like, before you even do this, you kind of need to like get up on what is a crypto wallet, how do I set one up? And long and short, you can do that by watching YouTube videos, like how to install MetaMask. MetaMask is literally a Chrome browser plugin. So you can set it up in a few minutes. Just make sure that you store what's called a seed phrase when you create one. It's like a list of about 12 words, and that's almost like your safe key. Don't ever share that to anyone. Any messages you ever get, like, oh, we can help you get any. You see it all the time on Twitter. If you mention the phrase MetaMask, you'll get loads of bot replies saying, oh, we can help you with that. DM us. We'll help you like sort out your problem. And, if you give your seed phrase to anyone, they can get access to your funds. So never give that out, but store it, write it down on a piece of paper. That's like the store of, that's the keys to your wallet. So long and short of it, you set your MetaMask up, you'll find out how to do that on YouTube, and then go to OpenSea and set it up so that you can use the Polygon network. Again, ask YouTube how to add the Polygon network to MetaMask. And then once you've done that, go OpenSea and you can create NFTs on there for free on Polygon. And they'll live on OpenSea. They look the same as all the other NFTs, but you can do that for like pretty much zero money. You can get like a bit of free Polygon. I think when you create your wallet, it gives a little bit of it, enough to like do some transactions and that. So you can create an NFT, mint one, and then you can see what it looks like. You can send it to wallet addresses. So yeah, I would say that best way to learn anything in this space is to practice, is to learn, make mistakes. But if you make mistakes on the Polygon network, you're not going to lose any money doing it. So have a go on there. You can do it there. I mean, there are test networks as well, but again, that's like, you can kind of like have a go. Rufus Wright says, I don't disagree, it's a good place to start. It's cheap but slow, and that is true. It can. I think at the moment they're seeing the problems that come with scaling, because it is a layer 2 sort of Ethereum. The transactions are going up and up and up, so they're having to upgrade their systems quite often. But in terms of having a go and learning like what does what, like when you're filling out the kind of metadata, it's very similar to like putting a release on Bandcamp. It's like, what's the artist name? What's the title? What EP does this belong to? Tell us a description about it. Like, is there any unlockable content? Like, the unlockable content is like a link that maybe they won't see until they own the NFT. Stuff like that. It's like, but you can play with that, have a little go of it and see what it does. And then if it doesn't look how you want it to, you can burn it, which is basically deleting it off the blockchain and start again, do it again. So I would recommend that. That's what I have done personally, is, go on YouTube, find out how to do something, have a go at it. Hopefully you don't lose any money or spend any money in the process. And, if you just decided eventually along the line that actually, I do want to do this on Ethereum because that's where the user base is, maybe. If, you wanted to do that, then the process is exactly the same on Ethereum, but it just costs you like a lot more money, and it will cost more money for people that are buying it. So in terms of having a go, I think personally, like, I'm a big advocate for the tech rather than like the earning potential of the NFT. Is like,
oh yeah, me too, totally.
if more like artists, labels, DJs like have a go and figure out ways of like giving value to holding these tokens in their wallet versus like trying to sell it for $2,000, then you will get the same. You can create the same value on Polygon that you could on Ethereum, and essentially anyone that's got an Ethereum address can receive a Polygon NFT as well, because it's the same wallet address. If you have an Ethereum wallet and then you create a Polygon, the same Ethereum address. So that's another reason why I think it's quite useful, is that like a lot of people who collect NFTs already have an Ethereum wallet address, and you can utilize that data to the same kind of usability on Polygon.
That's cool. Someone says, shout out to Tezos Market. Also, you can learn how to collect NFTs without spending any pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Tezos is one of the most green blockchains as well. So if environmental impact is a big like thinking point for you, then Tezos is one of the chains that is definitely more green than others, that allows you to mint NFTs. The main problem with Tezos is it's not interoperable with the Ethereum chain, which is where the main market for this is.
Okay. Love this conversation. NFTs in the music industry, DJ industry will change the entire industry for a positive. Yeah, I agree. I agree what you're saying. Like, you've just got to try these things. And I feel like I said right at the start, when I got that email about this unknown artist that had literally no following trying to sell, it was literally, it was a mix which had 12 exclusive tracks and this kind of cool artwork. And he wanted like $2,500 for it. And I was just like,
I saw a really good example. So that there's a platform called sound.xyz, and this is a really good example of people using the kind of NFT in like an unusual and new way. But if anyone's familiar with Soulection, the sort of record label collective based in LA, they did a mixtape as an NFT, and they there were 333 copies of it, and it had I'm taking a guess here, so like, I think it had like maybe 14, 15 tracks in the mix. And when this NFT was minted, it was like, here's a track listing. All of the artists in that were involved in that mix took a split of the sale. So like, it's a bit like selling a compilation CD back in the day, yeah? Like 30 tracks, all of those artists are accounted for like their percentage of the royalty split at the end, blah, blah. They get accounted to every 6-12 months for the rest of their lives, as many of us might have experienced getting those letters through in the email every year for like your 30p that you earned on your compilation every year. But you can do that inside a smart contract now. So when you create this NFT, you can link like 15 wallets and be like, this person earns 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. The DJ is going to take 15%. And then, like, it just splits it. So you pay the money for the NFT, whatever you choose to charge for it. And then instantly the money goes into that smart contract. It splits into 30 different people's wallets. They all get paid instantly. They don't need to invoice anyone. They don't need to wait for any money to come in at the end of the month. So that was a great example of like how a mixtape or how an album might be sold as an NFT in future. And you think, oh, why would you do that? Why would you buy that? And I think that the why is always like, how much do your fans care about supporting what you do? And how much value is there in them holding that? And again, the value will be cooked into that maybe down the line with Soulection dropping new merch that's only available to the 333 people that hold this NFT, or early access to the tour tickets when they come out. If you've got a really engaged audience like Soulection do have, being one of those 333 people that might get early access to the tour when they play in like LA, where they sell out every single time, then that has a value in holding it straight away, right? It's like, if you're a big fan of that, you might see the value in holding that, and it might hold its value. It might go up in value over time with the more sort of utility that Soulection cooks into the holders holding it. But also, every time that it is sold at profit, the original buyer is going to get a nice little kickback for being early on getting in on the first one. And all of those artists are going to earn from any resale of that NFT for the rest of their lives without having to raise a single invoice for it. So I love that that's another thing that I really love about the blockchain is I'm awful when it comes to paperwork, chasing invoices, like who's paid me, firing up invoices, telling an artist that I've got money to send them for their releases. I'm really bad at that. And if there's a future that shows me I can set up this in like a distribution format where here's the song. It's going to all of these distributors, all of the platforms that it does already. You know, I don't think blockchain is going to like necessarily like replace the Spotify's of this world, but if it can even just sort of like funnel all of the earnings from all of these places in and then just split it to everyone without anyone raising an invoice or chasing me for money, or, you know, the money just goes in and it goes out and I don't even need to see. We just know that everyone got their percentage. No, it's completely transparent. Everyone earns this much. We earn that much. We've all agreed that. It's all in the contract. Here, bang, money splits. That just tells me that in the future I might have more time to just chill or write more. Or
love that.
It's like that is exciting to me. It's having more time to do creative, fun stuff as opposed to like looking through spreadsheets and like raising invoices. That sounds good to me.
But I guess Spotify could move their kind of back end to the chain anyway, I guess.
I'm sure they're all looking into it. I think that's half of the worry, though, is that are they going to act like morally correctly? Because the current way that their system works is not very good for artists, and that's the main worry. Is that this is another reason why I think that education right now is so important, because the main problem, the main sticking point for a lot of like major labels and the existing kind of businesses and companies is no one has any of this written into any of their sort of old school contracts. So even me as like a label owner who does own the percentages of other artists' music, I still don't know like what is fair for me to go, right, guys, I want to talk about this release we did 15 years ago, but I want to do an NFT of it. Are they going to be cool? Am I going to feel right in going, the split's 50-50, same as it always was? Like in this day and age, is that fair anymore? And that is where all of these major labels now, but not only are they seeing that, the artists and their teams are seeing the potential of this NFT space. And they're like, there's no way that we're giving like 80% of our like earnings to Polydor. Like we could earn 100% of that doing it on our own. And there's nothing stopping them from doing that. So you're going to see a lot of artists move independently into this NFT space with brand new music, but you might not see a lot of their legendary like legacy albums being released because of the way they're tied up into weird contracts that don't even think about this tech, right? And I think that while that is going on, there is a space for all of us and all of the independents out there to figure out how we move correctly into the next iteration of music on the blockchain. And I think that if we're not quick, Daniel Ek will be there first and we'll all get a raw deal and we'll have the same problems that we still have now. We do have the power to shift and change and make things better for artists, for content creators, for illustrators, for everyone to get paid fairly for their work. And hopefully someone watching this is a coder or like is interested in empowering artists and hoping that they can help. And we'll start building these things. And, you know, in 5 to 6 years' time, we might be like, wow, do you remember Spotify and how bad that was?
You were talking to me earlier when we were chatting before about the kind of you owning an NFT and then you being able to drop kind of other NFTs to certain owners or certain people that own certain things. And by owning an NFT might open you up to other things, other NFTs and other potentials. Can you re-talk me through that? Because that was when we were talking before, when we were just chatting, that was so interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of how that technology works was amazing.
As like a collector, I have a lot of NFTs that I bought, like maybe as a kind of like investment, or I see a lot of the NFTs I buy as like an investment, or they have some form of utility. I don't get too involved in the kind of JPEG vibe NFT stuff. But yeah, some of the stuff that I have bought maybe like gets quite popular, and then someone else building an NFT collection might be like, I want to interact with the community around that NFT because it's really cool, or, you know, I want to get, even it might even be not even as nice as that. It might be like, I need to shill my NFT project to anyone who holds this really expensive NFT because I want to sell mine out. So what I got I get them all the time. If I look at my like Ethereum address on OpenSea, there'll be a bunch of NFTs in there that I didn't buy. I'm like, what is that? And people literally like drop these NFTs like flyers into your wallet. Like, so I look in my wallet and it'll be like, hey, Clonex holders, we've got a mint coming up soon, and like you're automatically added to the whitelist. The whitelist is like early access, so you get in before like the public get in, if you like. And that literally lands in my wallet because anyone creating an NFT or whatever can like look at another project and see all the addresses of the holders of that NFT project. So let's think of it in the music terms. Imagine I am a club promoter in London, and the venue that I promote my night at has another really popular night that's usually on a Friday, but I've got a Friday later on in the month, and I really want to get the people that come out to that night to come to my event. Let's say that night sells their tickets as an NFT, so I can see everyone on the blockchain who's bought tickets or holds an NFT ticket from previous events. I can then download like that list of addresses, and then I create my NFT flyer, if you like, on Polygon at zero cost, and then go, right, I'm going to transfer this NFT to all of these addresses. Bang. Everyone gets sent that NFT into their wallet that looks like the flyer for my event next week because they attended. And like, I think they're going to see more and more of this, which is like good in some sense, because it might be like, oh, wow, I got dropped something really cool. But we are going to end up with like a spam folder in our NFT wallet. 100%. It's going to happen. I don't think that's necessarily bad. This is just like the teething problems we'll experience. You'll be like, wow, I got this incredible little piece of art because I held this. And, or you'll get given away something that ends up being worth like a couple £100. You'd be like, wow, like because I hold that, I got this. And that has happened to me. Like in some cases, some of these things I got for free are worth thousands of pounds. But yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't drop it like a flyer to like your NFT mint or your event or, you know, your EP coming out soon to people who hold this NFT, that NFT.
That certainly would beat us because I used to work at Terminal's nightclub. That certainly would beat us, and we used to fly the fabric queue.
Yeah,
and we used to go to the end of the fabric queue and go, "This queue's really long. You're definitely not getting in from here, but we've got so and so around the corner." And
exactly.
Obviously, we would then get chased by the bouncers at some point because we weren't, you know, back up clock on Terminal Street to back up to Terminals, but. It would certainly stop getting us chased by bouncers back then. It would be a lot more easier to just sit in the office and do it from there for sure.
Yeah, I love the idea of doing it though. I think, like I said, I've done an NFT that initially was planned to just give away, but I did it on the Ethereum chain. It became quite expensive just sending it to people. Like I think I spent about £600 sending out about 50 of them, and then I thought, you know what? I initially minted like 2,000 with the intention of them people being able to just claim them. But then gas fees started going up, and it was going to cost people like £50 to just get one for literally what I was trying to sell them for like £4. So I ended up just burning all of the supply except for like 50. And like I said, I created this channel on Discord to see if I could link that to a Discord channel, and it worked. So I've now got like 50 wallet addresses where I could go, hey, like here's an NFT that has like an unlockable private link to download my album that's coming out next week. Like you get it a week early because you hold this NFT. I could do that now if I wanted to. So there's some nice things that I think we'll see. And I'll definitely be utilizing this over time when I do properly. As much as I can sit here and talk about it, I'm still someone who's figuring a lot of this out, like I said. And I know from experimenting and working in the space how a lot of it works, but I want to enter correctly. When I do my first proper NFT drop, I want it to be proper. Or like I want it to do something that hasn't yet been done. And I've got an idea of what I want to do. I just need someone to build this contract for me. And then you might see my first like proper NFT project. And I guess anyone holding the Terrorhythm NFT might get like a nice little whitelist spot for that or access to something. So if you are holding one of them, keep hold of it. I'm sure it'll come
to everyone that has a
useful.
Plastician NFT. If that's someone's had, they should.
Yes, Semafi. I'm sure I dropped a few of them to people that were in my Twitch channel as well. That was like one of the first places that kind of got those.
Wicked. Well, you need wicked. Yeah, like I said at the start, I'm so interested in this space and I've been watching it so much. But yeah, this has been so like I've learned so much just talking to you the last couple of hours. Like, I it's trying to work out how I would use it for myself as Graham Farmer, as obviously a content creator and a Twitch streamer and for my course and my one-to-ones, but also then for data transmission, which is obviously a blog and a radio station and a label. We kind of have we have two separate entities of how I might do it. And I've definitely, just from talking to you for the last few hours, it's opened my mind to where we might be able to do it. I like the kind of idea where it's more about the community, because this is one thing that's definitely put me off, that it's been like sell, must make millions of pounds, must sell these JPEGs, and I'm just like,
there's no reason
really?
You couldn't give it away. This is what a lot of people miss. You can give an NFT away at zero cost and give something to people who have been supporters early of what you're doing, and then who knows, one day there might be a demand for that token and they might be able to earn some money out of it. The demand and the price of that token is normally like just the utility. Like, what do I need that for? Why would I need that? And if somewhere down the line that token becomes useful for something, then the demand goes up and suddenly it's got some monetary value that you haven't even like pumped into it. So I think it's nice. I think it's like, you know, for people who already maybe subscribe to you or pay for, like you said, like a online coaching or courses, one-to-one, Zoom call courses, that kind of stuff. If you gave them an NFT as part of their purchase, that might, you know, allow you to gift them something or give them early access to the next one you're doing, then that's just added value to them at no extra cost as well.
Shed heads in the chat. We should do a shed heads one for sure.
Definitely. Do a shed head one, yeah.
Yeah, we are shed heads in the chat. If you're there, drop a little ones, the shed heads. Plastician streams on Twitch as well, so go and give him a follow for sure for the next time he pops up on Twitch. Your Twitch streams sound amazing. It sounded great as well.
Yeah, they were good fun through the lockdown. They were. I said, I think it, as you know yourself, like the planning and like sorting out and scheduling is quite it's heavy lifting, isn't it? And I was like, I set the bar quite high for myself on some of the quiz streams, particularly. And I had like celebrities playing my quizzes and sharing them on Twitter and stuff. And it was like, it went from me not streaming at all to like getting partnered and having like 1,000 people playing a like online quiz for a couple of hours. But yeah, I haven't. Last few times I've been on have been like, you know, I do a Bellamy radio show, and if I'm pre-recording that, sometimes I'll just fire up the Twitch and let people hang out and get their shouts in, so they get to listen to it early. On the subject of NFTs, we did. I tested out this thing called a POAP. A POAP is a POAP.
Yeah, tell me about
Again, this is a free NFT. You don't need a crypto wallet to claim one of these either. You just get an app on the App Store called POAP. And what you can do is you can create these little sort of collectible NFTs that you can only claim if you go to something in person or you attend something. So I created this POAP and thought, I'm going to allow people who watch my live stream to claim it. Now, people like collecting these things, and you can still add the same utility to a POAP that you would want to add to like an NFT on Polygon or Ethereum, right? So I created this NFT and I said, I created a window that it would be claimable. And then I went live and DJ'd and was like, if you are watching this, like scan the QR code that was on my stream. They could scan that with their phone. It launched a POAP app and then they claimed it. And they only needed an email address to claim it. They didn't even need a crypto wallet. It kind of stores it somewhere for them until they create a proper crypto wallet. So it's really good tech for onboarding people into NFTs that maybe aren't crypto native as well. And people love collecting things. And yeah, so anyone that watched me on that live stream that wanted to like install this app, and I think I had like 30 or 40 people claimed it through the time I was mixing, and that's there. And I've got one on my phone. I haven't got it on me, but you know, it's just a basic JPEG, but it's a collectible that proves someone turned up. And as I was saying to you off air, one of the problems I've had with like radio down the years, as someone who started out in pirate radio back in like the early 2000s, being on air was everything. You had to be there live. You had to hear it live. If you didn't catch it live, you didn't catch it. There was no internet radio. There was no websites where you could download recordings. There was no SoundCloud. There was no YouTube. It probably was, but no one's using it back then. And it wasn't until so I was doing that for years. And then like 2008, 2007, then the website started popping up where like people would put pirate radio recordings online. People would go on, download it, listen to it on their iPod. And then obviously we had streaming, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can just listen to it in the week when you're at work or whatever. And when that came in, people stopped listening to the radio live. So I'd be up there like sweating it out 2 hours, like trying to get that interaction with the listeners, and it's not there. So I'm like, what's the point of me turning up for radio, like wasting commuting time from like South to East London at like 7 o'clock till like 11 o'clock on a Friday night, whatever, to get no interaction. So I find that really interesting with this POAP thing is that, you know, if people want to come and show up for your live stream and interact with you, and they get a little collectible that proves they were there. And it's like, you know, if you think about, if there's any old school sort of like grime dubstep heads in here that know what Forward is. Forward was a night in Plastic People in London that was like seen of like the birthplace of dubstep. And if you talk to anyone around the world, like, oh, what's dubstep? Where did it start? And it's like, I used to go Forward. Did you? I never saw you there. It's like, well, if you got the POAP that proves that you were there, there's my Forward POAP. So you can imagine these things being a commonplace in like events, online streams that prove that you showed up you were there in person. You know, you collected the POAP, you've got the badge that like proves you were there. And I think that is like, that's quite powerful, I think, personally. And we've introduced them to some of the events. So they're like, I work for a crypto DAO called Friends of Benefits, and we throw events in London, and we put these POAP sort of claim spots in our venues, because we get a lot of crypto native people, but we also get a lot of sort of culture native people come to the events who are really interested in crypto, but maybe not crypto native. And the POAP is like a perfect kind of like, you know, red pill, blue pill matrix moment. Like, do you want to join the gang? Like, get one of these. Like, and yeah, it's like you collect it. It's in your phone. You can see it. You can look back at all of the things you attended. But you know, it's not just physical events. It works for digital events as well. So we could have fired one up today, like, hey, like claim a POAP now, or like
someone's
to say
asked,
you watched it live.
Why is there no POAP for the streamer? Yeah, we should have done.
This is it. I think that I was saying
maybe
to you
maybe I will, and we'll put it in the Discord later. So join the Discord. Well, you said it takes 24 hours, doesn't it? So maybe I'll make one.
Yeah, that's the thing. At the moment, you have to wait for it to kind of be verified by their team. So you might have to like create it. You know, it could probably take you like half an hour to create like a half decent looking image as like a JPEG or PNG. They're they're circular, so they look like badges, if you like. So you should create that, upload it. It is a little bit, again, look on YouTube at how to do it. There's a few walkthrough guides. That's what I followed, how to do it. And then, yeah, I found my first attempt that I had to wait about 12 hours for it to be like given the thumbs up.
Well, we will. In fact, we will definitely do that. I'll send it to you to approve our beforehand, and we'll definitely do that.
Yeah. So there's a question coming here. How do you see the UK dubstep scene progressing? Yeah, I think it's having a resurgence like most things, right? I think like kind of straight up techno didn't make as much sense through lockdown, where techno is very, very good for like dancing all night too, but not great for like listening all day too. So I think like we've seen the re-emergence of breaks, garage, dubstep naturally as part of that whole cycle of music that happened in the UK. So I feel not just dubstep, but I think a lot, you know, like jungle, a lot of the kind of classic British electronic music genres are seeing a nice little spike, a little resurgence. I just think that people's tastes have broadened where they didn't go clubbing every weekend. So I think everything that wasn't straight up four to the floor has seen a nice little, an influx of new listeners who didn't get to go out for 2 years. You think of all those 18 to 20-year-olds who spent 2 years indoors waiting to go out to their first rave, and they go out and music's been really all over the place. For me, like gigging, definitely, it's been really nice because I play quite a lot of different genres when I DJ, and being allowed to play that without someone shouting "Play Japan" at me the whole time has been quite nice. The people who shout at me now, I know they're Twitch streamers. I'm like, oh, you've been on my stream. You're just doing that for a laugh.
Yeah, I spoke to Shapeshifters, who's a house music DJ, and he's a Twitch streamer, and he was saying that people would turn up to his Twitch stream with like cutouts of his emotes and like wave them in the air, and he knew who his streamers were, which I thought was hilarious. Just before we kind of, I'll talk to you about music in a sec. I want to ask you a couple of things otherwise about NFTs. Firstly, have you got your kids into making them yet? Because I know you've got kids, and I thought about doing it with my daughter because it is definitely going to be her future and her kind of where she goes. And I know for myself, like when I was 2, my dad gave me a computer, and it's been a fully part of my life. Like, and we were like, it was a Sinclair 48, like it was proper. Have you done it with your kids yet? Like,
I think I look at like what they do as like almost validation for a lot of the things that I see, because a lot of this NFT stuff and some of the projects that I get invested in are these kind of like metaverse crossover type things, like where, you know, this might be wearable in the metaverse. And we hear that term banded around a lot, the metaverse, this, that. It's like a buzzword for selling NFTs at the moment. But if you look at kids playing things like Roblox now, like kids they sit in there, they play Roblox all day, they hang out with their friends in there and they chat. And it's like, that is essentially the metaverse. That is what the metaverse will be. It'll be like a social hub where people can build their own games on top of it, build their own like content into this kind of like open space. And seeing my kids play in that and buy outfits on it and want to do their character up and make it look cool. And, you know, there's like competitions at school, like what your Fortnite character looks like. And they don't want to play with like the basic, I can't remember what the term is, but kids have a term for like, oh, you're just using the default character. That's not cool. I can't remember what it is, but I've heard a term that's used.
I think I have as
and it's
well.
like, there's all the validation you need that kids are going to grow up and this is going to become very normal for them hanging out in like digital spaces instead of like in real life. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, because it might be weird to people our age, but it doesn't need to be, you know, like before all of, you know, in 2017, I was streaming in virtual reality, like on Facebook in 360 in interactive, and we built a VR app where people could hang out, watch the streams and chat and fly around the world and, you know, like graffiti the world and stuff like that. So we were working on something like this. It just wasn't Web3. So you didn't own any of the assets. We could sell physical merch in there, but we couldn't really sell digital merch. We could sell it, but you didn't really own it. A bit like kids who play FIFA now will spend real money on FUT tokens to buy the Messis and the Neymars and the Mbappes. But then the next game comes out next year and they've just deleted it. It's like, well, you don't really own it. You've paid money for it. And, you know, there's no reason they couldn't allow you to port them, from what I understand. But, you know, like the beauty of owning, to talk about SoRare again in the football sense, to give it a bit of that FIFA, is I own my SoRare cards. Someone else can make a game that I can use my SoRare cards in, and people do. They're off of the actual official SoRare site. There are other, there's one called SoRare Mega that I can enter every weekend with the same cards, that's run by a third party, and they encourage people to build these. So like game items that are owned are interoperable between different games that are built as well. And I think, you know, that's what the metaverse products will be. Be like, I might be able to take my Clonex from the Clonex world and put it into like the Fluff world or into Decentraland or into thing. And that's true ownership of like the asset, I think, or interoperability. And that's, that's the difference between like owning a JPEG and owning the actual. Another thing with like the Clonex is you own the intellectual property. So if I wanted to put my Clonex on the front cover of my album, I have every right to do so. And if I wanted to sell it to Nike to do like a TV ad with my specific Clonex character, I have every right to do that and profit from it. I own the intellectual property to that NFT. If you right click and save that picture, you don't. So this is another thing with like ownership comes real true ownership of intellectual property as well.
Yeah, I've been watching my daughter's been playing the Roblox, and there was a like there's so much going on in that space. It's mental. Like, yeah, I was watching it with the Disney the other week with the Encanto, and it was like a Disney Adidas, like Disney Roblox kind of combination. But also she was playing and goes, they've all got Adidas trainers, and in my mind I'm going, well, there's obviously an Adidas crossover, so all of these brands are now going in there and knowing that they need to be in there because that's where the next Adidas are in there because that's where their next market is and their next buyers are there. So it'll be the same with DJs and music.
Adidas bought up, like, I think they've got a crypto punk and they've got a Bored Ape that they use in a lot of their kind of like NFT launches and what they're calling like into the metaverse, which we'll see a lot more of now. But you see with like Nike bought Artifact, which is the company that built the Clonex characters. Nike bought that for some 9 figures, like ridiculous amount of money. So yeah, they own, you know, the sort of the future of that project. You're going to see it more and more, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I always think from a data transmission point of view, I always got to think my future reader, my future listener, my future kind of. I've always thought that along the, like, as I'm getting older, my future listener is still 20, 22, 23, 24, 30, up to the 30s, you know. Where are they living? But also, where are they living before they get to that space? Because let's start introducing them to dance music and electronic music so that they become data transmission fans, they become label fans now and whatever else, you know. So I'm definitely looking at those kind of games and spaces to try and see if I can bring my radio station into Roblox. You know, that might be something cool. But yeah,
definitely.
Before we talk about music, there's one thing I really want to talk to you about is books that you've written.
Yeah, I mean, you can say written like loosely. I kind of compiled a book of some of my favourite jokes and wrote a few in there as well. But I've got a copy of it here. Look, hold on. Let me show it. I'll actually get it on the stream. Look at that.
Yes, there it is. For anyone that knows me, I flipping love dad jokes, and my daughter constantly rolls her eyes out. We actually have a WhatsApp group for our family, and they're always going in there. So I thought I would get some. I'd get you on your dad jokes. Tell me some. Tell me what's you put in your book.
So I've just opened this is one of my favourite ones as well. So I'm quite glad I opened this page. I once saw Prince in concert for £30. I partied like it was 1999 though. Putting in contact lenses for the first time was a real eye opener.
The Beach Boys walk into a bar. Round. Get around. I'll get around.
Yeah. Be careful not to get addicted to riding water slides. It's a slippery slope.
Yes.
Don't invest in funeral companies. It's a dying industry.
I love it.
Yeah, there's about 200 of them in that book. I sold a few copies of that actually, and I think that the Twitch streams are probably like a big part of why that was a success. So shout out all the Twitch gang for I'm sure they kind of fueled a lot of the promotion for that through like buying it for the family members, and that Christmas was quite nice actually. I'm not gonna lie, that did actually make Christmas for me in the sense that on the day, because it was a bit like a stocking filler. It was like buy it for a laugh for people that maybe know who I am, and people were buying it for like their dad and their in-laws and stuff. And I had so many videos on Christmas Day of like someone's granddad laughing at my jokes, and I thought it was really nice. It was good, yeah.
Love it. I love it. Never shout into a colander; it will strain your voice.
That's a good one. I like that. I've not heard that one before either. There's like, because I've researched so many jokes to like try and find the good ones, it's very rare that I get told a dad joke now that I haven't already heard. I'm like, yeah, like that one's in my book actually, or that one's, that's a good one.
There's one that I heard which I was rolling around for ages. What was it? I'll have to try and remember. I'll try and remember before the end of the stream.
This is the thing as well. When someone asks you to do one, it's impossible to remember.
There was what
I get it all the time. Tell me a joke, and I'm like, I need my book.
I've like I said, we have a WhatsApp group, and I'm just constantly. I've got a friend who actually is a mines Ethereum. So and he's a developer. So if you need a developer, he could be your guy. But also, we literally just text each other back dad jokes, and that's all it is. Like, he mines it. Yeah, it's cool. Why do US drivers bring a knife in the car to cut in front of everyone? Whoa! The chat's popping off with the dad jokes. It's been slowly moving when we go with NFTs. Right. That's yes. If anyone's got any questions for NFTs, just again drop them in the chat. Let's keep this going. But talking about music, talking about streaming. And gigs. Talk to me about gigs. How's it been?
Yeah, good question. I think I've got. I'm awful with my calendar, by the way. I always have to. This is part of the reason I own pretty much everything I do. 100% of, but I never want anything to do with booking my gigs because my calendar is horrendous. Let me have a little look at where are we? We're just into April now, right? So I have, what am I looking at? This is not, where's today's date? All right, cool. So I have a gig next Sunday, Easter Sunday in London at the old Queen's Head playing disco.
I played there. Nice.
I'm doing a disco set there.
Nice.
They're always good down there. It sells out every time. It's decent. I'm looking forward to it, definitely. So I think that's my next gig. I feel like I haven't got one this weekend. I maybe, again, like I said, my calendar, I'm looking at it now. The calendar I've got open doesn't have my gigs on it, but I know I've got one on the 17th because, you know, when you're on Instagram and the promoter does like a paid ad. So like it showed up on my feed. I'm like, oh. Cool, I've got a gig, like someone's promoting it. That's always nice to see. But yeah, I know I've got other stuff on this month and I cannot for the life of me remember me. I need to get into like my booking protocol and find out what I'm doing. But I know that I've got one next Sunday in London, disco gig. But that'd been fun. There's been a lot of work for like disco stuff. Can't complain. Definitely can't complain there.
A bunch of
sort of like bass music stuff as well. Actually, I've done it's been picking up quite nicely. I had a couple of like big London shows recently at Fabric, and done a couple of the kind of like live stream stuff as well. So I've been busy actually. It's been good. Can't complain at all. Looking forward to doing more. Definitely.
Where else do you see POAP technology being deployed in the coming years?
Definitely, yeah, definitely in public events and online kind of stream events. I guess, things like you could imagine it being employed a bit more at like, like people who queue up outside Supreme to get like the Supreme drop on a Thursday. Maybe like they introduce a POAP for everyone that turned up to it so that like you get early access to the queue next week or something like that, so that people are like they look after the people that turn up every week first instead of like the people that just turn up once a big drop comes in. Stuff like that. I guess events might, like if an event company that do like a monthly or a weekly event, maybe put on a festival in the summer, and it's like, early access for people who attended at least 5 of our events. Is like if you have 5 POAPs, then you can get early access to the festival tickets. Or
that's a great idea.
Things like that. I think like the great uses of POAPs are people who do like regular content, if you can incentivize people to show up and collect and prove that they showed up, then think about like how you can reward that. And literally any application you can think of might utilize that tech for that exact reason. People are hoarders by nature, someone says in the chat. Very true.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
People collect everything. They want to show stuff off. And, if you can prove that you went to every one of this, or you turn up to every, you can set like a limit on POAPs as well. So you could say like, oh, there's only 50. So like if you're one of the first 50 every week on someone's stream and you can prove it, and then that person becomes like the most famous person in the world. And it's like, I've got every POAP that they ever did on their Twitch feed or something like that. You could potentially sell that for a lot of money as well. Like, so there's another incentive. Something for free becomes worth money one day. Imagine if Ed Sheeran was a streamer and he did a POAP, and then suddenly he became Ed Sheeran, and it's like, oh, I was one of only 5 people that watched his first Twitch stream, and I've got the POAP to prove it.
That's amazing.
It's almost like having a ticket stub for the first Beatles gig, isn't it? Like a POAP could become something like that one day.
That'd be cool. I found my ticket stub for my Champions League final night in 1999. That could be a POAP. That'd be quite cool.
It would be, yeah. It's nice to have like a digital counterpart for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about how you said earlier about the adding two together, where it's the slime and the kind of, like, I guess people would sell unslimed ones for more money because then they have the ability to slime them. And
also, I think like the slime, I think was called a serum. Like the price of the serum on its own is almost on par with like the mutant apes. Like someone bought like there's 3 different rarities of it, and I think like there was one that was super expensive to buy, and there was only a few of them. There was different tiers of it. I don't own a Bored Ape, so I'm not fully invested in like how it worked, but I know there was like big news recently because one of only like 2 of the like top level serums was used on an ape, and it made this insane ape that looked like it was made out of eyeballs, and it was like it sold for like $1 million or something ridiculous. It was like, because it was like the rarest one. It's like they instantly made the rarest one by like using it. It's crazy. So like you say, hoarders, like why would an NFT cost that much money? Because someone crazy out there wants it that bad that they will pay $1 million for it. And that's what it really boils down to. Is like you can create as much utility as you want, but sometimes it does just literally boil down to how much do people love these collectible things and who wants to buy it the most and how much would they pay. And that's what the case with like the Bored Apes is like, which one's the rarest based on its traits. You can kind of see that on websites that kind of rank them by like their rarity. So then someone out there with a big wallet will be like, I want the rarest one because I want to.
It's like football cards when we were younger, like, or like Garbage Pail Kids cards. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
If you had those and you had certain rare ones of those, or like when we were young, it was like football stickers, and if you could get a Gaza, then we would literally trade them for 20 or 30 other stickers because they were so rare. Like, yeah.
It's like you can actually get Garbage Pail Kids as NFTs as well. They did an official NFT. Yeah, on the Wax blockchain. You can look it up. The Wax blockchain is, again, it's kind of more geared towards like gaming NFTs, but you can set up a gas blockchain wallet literally by logging in with your Google account as well. So it's very easy to get like a Wax blockchain wallet. And the Garbage Pail Kids did an official NFT collection. So you can actually collect, and they're very cheap. They're like pennies to buy.
Sick.
You can start a Garbage Pail Kids collection for a few quid.
I'm going to do that. I think that maybe my into NFTs going to old.
You should do it. Yeah, go and have a look at it. Get yourself a little bit of. I think it's Wax, the token, but you won't need a lot of Wax to start buying NFTs on the Wax blockchain.
I think this made me my in because I love the Garbage Pail Kid. Like, do you know they got banned in my school because my mate's mum told the head teacher that they were so bad, and they
were gross, weren't they? It's like kids picking their nose and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm going to start doing that. Yeah.
Check it out. Yeah, I'm going to try and find it for you now.
So, I'm well into the POAP thing. That sounds amazing. We are definitely going to make a POAP for this stream. So if you are in my Discord, you will get access to that once we've done it. So if you're watching this stream, get in our Discord because we're going to give away a POAP just for this stream only and for this stream. So let's do something fun. As part of my live streams, as part of my Twitch streams, because they're at lunchtime, we always ask our guests what are their go-to meal deal when they buy one from one of the most popular supermarket chains. Mine is, at the moment, I'm pretty healthy, so it's a salad and some fruit and a water. They were in the past the big triple breakfast sandwich, quavers and a smoothie, which I thought were healthy, but really, really not.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you yours. What is your go-to meal deal?
The last one I had a coronation chicken sandwich.
Nice.
Salt and vinegar squares, which are my favourite. And
nice.
For a drink, I prefer still over fizzy. So sometimes I'll get like a flavoured water or like a Lucozade or something, like a Lucozade Sport or something, depending on what I'm doing. Like if I don't want to be like buzzing out of my mind on Lucozade, so sometimes I'll just get water or like a touch of fruit or something like that.
Has anyone got any questions before he needs to dive? Because we've literally got a few minutes left before you've got to do the school run.
20 years of Terrorhythm coming up. Yeah,
Tell me about it.
I did need to make plans on what it is that we're going to do, but love to do like an event at least, maybe a little special merch drop, maybe do another football shirt. Those are always popular. We did one for 14 and we did one for, well, the other one was just, we did one for fun. But yeah, I found like, I've been looking at like football shirt manufacturers for years since we did the last one, because although the quality was good, it was, they got the sizing. Like I made a point of like changing the cut of the shirt down to the sizing, and they got it wrong. And they held their hands up. They did make a mistake. So I got a little bit of the money back, but not a lot. And I don't want to use them again. But I found a manufacturer that will do much better quality and I think reasonably affordable. So maybe we'll do a nice merch run, a nice event. And I definitely need to do some kind of Web3 activation. Maybe it's a NFT or something to kind of like start the ball rolling on that side of things. I'd say that's probably like the plans for the 20 years. Maybe a POAP, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. What team do you support? Let's talk about outside.
I'm a Man United fan.
Yes.
For years, I was a season ticket holder before I started having kids. Used to travel up every week, sometimes twice a week. And yeah, like I went on the weekend, went to watch the game against Leicester. But I live near Crystal Palace, so I get to Selhurst Park every now and then to see games. I've been a couple of times this season. I saw them knock Everton out of the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I'd say I support Man United and I follow Palace. But I love football. Like literally before we got on this stream, I was watching FC Seoul against Gangwon. I'll watch any football. And like so rare, fully like unlocked like a level of like football love that I knew was there, but just I'll make fun of like any football match. I watch Ajax, I watch Feyenoord, I watch Seoul, I watch Daegu, I'll watch Ulsan. I watch any country, any team. If I have one of their so rare players, it makes it a lot more interesting. So I'll literally sit there and hope and watch every touch they get and know in my head like how many points that scored me and how likely I am to like finish in the prizes. So yeah, it's unlocked like a new layer of like football fanaticism. I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
fanaticism that I didn't know was there anymore. So that's been like a byproduct of like getting into Web3 that I didn't think I'd have, but here we are.
Yeah, I take my daughter to watch the United Women's team as well, which has been so much fun. Like the last few years of watching them, we've enjoyed it so much because, like, for girls, they just the players come and meet all the fans at the end of the game, and she's got all their autographs, and like she started getting into football after going and watching it and playing it, and just like she loves it now. So
yeah, it's great that the women's game's got so much more visibility now. I just think for girls that like football, it's like there you go, you've got some visible kind of like icons now to look up to and be inspired by, which is really good.
Thoughts on VR DJing?
So there's two different ways of doing this or looking at it. One way that I've done it in the past is set up exactly the same as like a normal live stream, except you do it with a green screen and you superimpose that into a 3-dimensional like VR world. We did that through lockdown. I built a virtual club on Sansar where you could do that, and we had a bunch of DJs playing that, which was really fun. Or you can do it on full VR with like the kind of like hands and touching the buttons in VR. That I'm not a big fan of. I need to have my proper DJ equipment, but who knows? It might get better over time. We might get more used to it. But yeah, I'm open to improvements on the VR DJing front.
Yeah, I know from a Beatport thing, well, because obviously we use like I said earlier, we use the DJ web app, and they're now announcing a party mode where essentially you can play back to back with different people in different countries, and they did some tests. They did Loco Dice and Jamie Jones playing back to back in 2 different countries on the same app, basically. So I guess once that's becoming a technology, then you'd bring that into controller and VR, and that'd be quite cool as well, because then you'd be able to play virtually back to back with somebody from a different part of the world, which would be amazing.
Yeah, it definitely unlocks a whole world of new opportunities.
Wicked. It's 3:00. Right, you need to go and do the school run.
Yes, I need to go and pick up the little man. He's going to be banging footballs at my door for the rest of the day.
Plastician, thank you so much for this. It's been so much fun. And gang in the chat, I hope you've enjoyed this.
No problem. Thank you so much. Cheers, everyone.
If you found this interview interesting, consider giving it a like and a comment. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and let me know your biggest takeaway below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can check out the schedule from the link below as well to see who's coming up in my interview series. I'll see you in the next Twitch stream or the next YouTube video. I'll see you soon. Bye.